Hey guys, RPM here. Hope you're doing well. Having a really great day. Alright, I got some damaged fan actually on my Bitmain Antminer L7. I tried turning the fan, it doesn't turn. It looks like it got squished in during shipping, so looks like I gotta replace this fan because I was just about to turn on this Bitmain Antminer L7 because as of right now, this is really the only ASIC that I got back. If you guys haven't watched my videos this past, couple days, just got back 11 ASICs from hosting because essentially they were breaking even or losing me money at the hosting rate that I had these at. So anyways, this Antminer L7, I just wanted to talk with you guys the history of this thing. It's basically been a tank and I have not had any issues with this thing. It's always been running for the past, which I received this back in October, November of 2022. This is a Bitmain Antminer L7 9.3 gigahash model or 9300 megahash model. So I think at that time, this thing was worth $10,000 at that time, almost 2 years and 6 months ago as of recording. It's beginning of May 2025. So I've had this thing mining for the past 2 years and 6 months, but has it realistically got its initial investment back of $10,000? Well, spoiler, I'm not able to give you guys any concrete numbers or where I was mining this to because I was essentially mining into Bitcoin with this thing on platforms like NiceHash at one point, via BTC, and then predominantly mining Dutch over the past half year. And generally through this lifetime, which I want to show you guys some historical data about the profitability of this thing, it wasn't always profitable depending on your electrical cost, of course. So I want to go in the computer with you guys and just go through some history with this Bitmain Antminer L7. It's quite the monster. Still actually profitable to this day, but we all know there's the new Antminer L9 that's been, dominating the market, I'd say, over the past half year. But this is still doing well, of course, dependent on Dogecoin's price. So I'll see you guys in the computer right after a word from today's video sponsor, myself. If you guys want to visit my website, RedPandaMining.com, I have trusted hardware shops and also coupons for all the different resellers on my website, and as well as software links and also ASIC hosting. If you have very expensive electric, hit up all my trusted ASIC hosting providers. As well, I have another website, RedPandaMining.shop, where you can book a time to talk with me if you would like. There's select times that you can book where you guys can ask me any questions and we can talk about anything that you would like. Hopefully regarding crypto mining, of course. As well, I do have stuff for sale on this website as well. So links down below if you are interested in purchasing anything. All right, so back to the video. Okay, so I got my L7 back in November of 2022. And at that time, this thing was making around 20 bucks a day or so, according to ASIC Miner Value. I did do a test just to see how much it was making at that time. I think a day, making about actually 26 bucks a day, which at that time it was on litecoinpool.org. So it was pretty good during those times. But this L7, when I got it, thank you to Crypto Miner Bros at that time, the cost of this miner at that time was $10,000 back in November of 2022. So here we are today, okay, and I'm going to show you guys some historical numbers here. I'm using a Wayback Machine here just to get some numbers from November 2022 all the way up until basically now. How has it performed? How has this L7 performed generally over the past, 2 years? So I will correlate this with Dogecoin's price because, this is basically when there's ups and downs, it's pretty correlated to how the profitability is going to be at certain times. And also the Litecoin network hash rate as well. There are certain times when it just kept going up since 2022, as you guys can see here. And the point of when those Antminer L9s came out, pretty much in October 2024, this is when the network hash rate started exploding, but also Dogecoin's price also exploded. Okay, so you guys can see the correlation there. All right, so just to give context as how much is this thing making now as of, May 2025, well, an L7 at 12 cents per kilowatt hour is making a couple cents, 17 cents a day at 12 cents kilowatt hour. Now, if you got this thing hosted, let's say at 8 cents per kilowatt hour, this thing's making a couple bucks a day. Okay, not bad, not bad. If you had, let's say, 5 cents per kilowatt hour, then this thing's going to make $5 to $6 a day. Okay, so you can see generally how much this thing makes. But if you had residential, let's say, 15 cents per kilowatt hour, the L7 is going to be making negative, okay, as of May 2025, where Dogecoin is at around 17, 16 cents. So how was Dogecoin's profitability back then? Okay, and so there's certain times when this thing was making, $20 a day, like I showed you back in 2022. And then let's say back in December 6th of 2023 on ASIC miner value at 12 cents per kilowatt hour. I can't change this here because this site is just capturing the day of. So yeah, anyways, at 12 cents kilowatt hour, an L7 9.3 gigahash model, which is the one I have, was making about $7.65 a day back in December 2023. All right, let's go to March 11th, 2023. L7 was making about still around $7 a day, $7 to $8 a day. Let's keep going here. June 2nd, 2023. The L7 was then making about $11 a day, $11 to $12 a day. So it looks like it's, it went up during that time. So if we go look at Doge's price back in June 2023, you can see here, it looked like it did have a bit of appreciation during these times. But at that same time, it looks like there was a dip in the hash rate in June of 2023 as well. So that could have contributed a bit more in profitability during that time, June of 2023. But then here we go. A couple months later, September 17th of 2023. Okay. September 2023, the L7s were making about $1, less than $2 a day. Okay. $1.46, $1.70 at 12 cents kilowatt hour, of course. So let's look at that. The price of Doge in September of 2023 was about 6 cents. Okay. So looks like it came off a high of about 7 or even 9 cents, maybe a couple months prior. Okay, so it did go down, but at the same time, the network hash rate for Litecoin was also going up considerably, almost like, it looks like another couple hundred, maybe 100 or 200 terahash has came on the network during that time in September 2023. So a great example of when, these L7s were making $1 or so a day, depending on your electrical cost. Now let's go January of 2024. Okay, a couple months later, the L7 was then making about less than $1 a day at 12 cents kilowatt hour. Okay, so the profitability was then going much lower a couple months later. So let's look at Dogecoin's price. January 2024, Doge's price was about 7 or 8 cents around that time. And the network hash rate looks like it was climbing up considerably during this time. Looks like it had a major dip a couple weeks prior in December 2023, but then looks like it just pumped up here. And so a lot of people must have gotten their L7s, or maybe Bitmain was turning on their L9s during this time, maybe testing them out. But yeah, now here we go. Let's go a couple months later, May of 2024. The L7 then churned into about 7 to 8, $9 a day on an L7 a couple months later. And that makes sense because you can see during this time, Doge's price jumped from 8 to about another 10 cents, basically, almost at 19, 20 cents during this time in Q2 of 2024. So you can see how the L7 has been, pretty decent. If you had under 10 cents, this L7 was generally profitable throughout the whole time, right? Basically the whole time of script mining, basically for Dogecoin mining. So you guys know a little bit of history there, just, going back, talking about how this L7 has fared. But here we are today. The L7 is, at residential electric, you're really not making much anymore because, that makes sense because there's a lot of these newer, Dogecoin miners that have come out that are obviously a lot more efficient and in turn are going to be a lot more profitable, right? Just because of their efficiency here, right? The L7s were about 0.37, 0.36 joules per mega hash. And the L9, everyone knows now, there's about 0.21. So almost double the efficiency there. And this is the model that everyone has been predominantly buying over the past, year or so. And even at 12 cents, this thing is still a profitable miner. But that could change at any point in time here, dependent on how many more of these are going to come online the network and also Dogecoin's price, right? Dogecoin's price has been quite, I would say it hasn't really sustained. Of course, when Doge went to 46 cents, okay, back in December 2024, this is the time when, obviously ASICs, even L9s, L7s, they were making quite a good chunk of money during this time. And this is the same time when the network hash rate for Litecoin, Dogecoin went up considerably, almost like another petahash essentially. So it looks like we've kind of plateaued here, and with the fall in Doge's price, I mean, it didn't really last long. It looks like it lasted maybe 2 or 3 months. Pretty good, you know, above 20, 30, $40 profitability. It's crashed down considerably. I mean, it kind of mimics what happened in 2021 as well. It didn't sustain up here very long, but for those that had cheap electric under, you know, 10 cents, 8 cents, the L7s were still okay, generally okay for mining these script coins. Now, how are the prices of like an L7 now? Well, people are actually still buying these between $2,800, $3,500. I'm looking at recently sold on eBay, April 30th here. Looks like we got another, you know, 3,200, April 24. So, I mean, people are actually still buying these ASICs because, I mean, they're still generally okay. Depending on their, you know, electrical cost, of course. This guy looks like May 2nd recently. Someone bought one for $4,500, a 9.5 gigahash model. So still a lot of value with all these where we are in the market right now. But of course, it's not like, you know, the L9s, which link down below. I'll have my efficiency sheet here. All the links down below for the resellers. If you're interested in buying these, of course, use code RedPanda. But just hear me out here. I mean, I'm talking about all the history here, but also there's going to be a lot of risks involved buying these, you know, script miners. I mean, it's definitely a lot less risk. Let's say buying like an Aleo miner, extremely high risk. Alephium, very high risk. Caspa, very high risk. But, you know, Bitcoin mining, script mining has been predominantly sustainable, depending on your electric, of course. And sustainable, I mean like being profitable, okay? So the L9s are and have been coming down in price. I know a couple months ago, right, when Doge was like 46, 44 cents, right, during this time, L9s were selling for 15, at most $20,000 at one point. So that was literally the tippity top for the L9s being sold at that time and people buying them. It was pretty crazy, right? A lot of people were buying the L9s during that time, but now the L9s have come back down to about 7,000. And to be honest, personally, I'm not buying at these levels. My thought process is I'm waiting till the next bear market to buy into script ASICs, okay? If there is going to be, you know, it's probably going to be maybe a year or two out. Who knows? Depends on all the macroeconomics regarding, I don't know, M2 money supply, interest rates lowering, is quantitative tightening going to end? All the variables people think about regarding when they're going to be buying into something like this. You know, I got to think about the future. You have generally low electrical costs if you're going to be mining with this thing. Again, like the L7, it was pretty sustainable in the past couple of years, but will the L9 also be sustainable for these years coming up? Nobody has a crystal ball, and if you are going to buy one of these things, that's going to be the risk that you're going to take. So yeah, pretty interesting to just take a look at how, you know, profitability of, you know, the L7 was over the past couple of years, and to say that this L7 that I've had, it has been profitable at its whole lifetime. Again, some months it was making like $1, and then some days it was making over $8. You know, it was pretty decent. So it has been pretty good, but it's all dependent on Dogecoin's price, because majority of the profits coming from these script ASICs is from Doge, right? I think it's about 80 or 90% of the profits is coming from Dogecoin now. So whether or not you believe in Doge, you know, Doge is a meme coin essentially. You're basing your buying decisions on these ASICs based on Dogecoin being sustainable, which, you know, at the peaks it hasn't. And has Dogecoin peaked already? I'm not sure. It kind of looks like it, right? I mean, similar to 2021, it didn't stay at these levels for very long. So is Doge gonna, you know, stay at these levels for, you know, another year or two, just kind of similar what happened in 2021? I don't know. Are we on the precipice of the altcoin season? I don't know. So that's the risk you're gonna take if you're gonna be buying, you know, any of these script miners that are out there. And there's a lot of new ones that have come out over the past, you know, year or two here. All right, my friends, that's it. That's it for this video. That's all I wanted to touch base with you all, just regarding my L7 here. And, you know, I actually didn't even keep up with this. How should I theoretically break even on the $10,000 L7? I didn't even follow it. You know, I didn't keep track of how much this thing mined, because I put it all towards with my other miners as well. So I can't really say, you know, has this miner gotten its initial investment back? But I'm pretty sure if I mined Doge and held Doge all the way up until, you know, Doge went to 46 cents, I'd have to say I probably would have gotten the initial theoretical $10,000 value of the miner back, and probably electric as well. But if you guys have, and you've kept note of that, let me know down below. If you have gotten your initial investment back of your L7, let me know your stories down below. A lot of people love to read that. Okay, I'll see you on the next one. Let me know your thoughts. Have a good one. Peace out. Peace out.